Warning: SIRRODCAST can lead to an array of side effects. Symptoms like nausea, vomiting, explosive diarrhea, sudden distaste for previously loved foods, and an inexplicable headache might emerge, persistently nagging like a bad song stuck in your head. Prolonged SIRRODCAST exposure, you might find yourself breaking out with rashes, skin blisters or peels, or developing a sudden wheeze, all of which signal a red alert. In such cases, halt all consumption of SIRRODCASTs and seek immediate medical attention. SIRRODCAST is not for the faint of heart. Proceed with caution and always keep your healthcare provider on speed dial for any unexpected misadventures.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce you to one of the nation's most exciting entertainers. He is the former creative director for So Deaf Recordings. He has one of the best-selling artist development books, The 10 Commandments of the Stage. All the way from Atlanta, Georgia, put your hands together for the Star Maker, Mr. One Man Show, Ollie Patterson's baby boy. Give it up for Sir Rod Patterson.
Welcome to another episode of the SIRRODCAST. Yes, I am your host, Sir Rod Patterson, aka Sir Rod the Entertainer, Sir Rod and the Blues Doctors. What else I got? Just plain old Sir Rod. Sir Rod's got a lot of titles, but right now I am Sir Rod the Podcaster. I hope everybody's doing well out there. We got a lot of fun stuff to get in today. Matter of fact, I got so many segments that I'm not going to be able to get all my segments in. I'm going to have to start segmenting the segments. That's crazy. We're going to try to get much in as possible. I always like to try to keep things under, say, about 30 minutes. I read in a book somewhere that people can't retain information past 25 minutes. That is me to the T. So I say around 25, 30 minutes. Makes it palatable, and you have something else to look forward to. So if I don't get your favorite segment in today, it'll be in next week's episode, I'm pretty sure. But right now, speaking of segments, I want to introduce yet another segment. And this segment is called Senior Moments. Yeah, Senior Moments. This is a new segment. Why I'm introducing Senior Moments into the podcast is for all those new listeners out there. I'm expanding. I'm now on Apple Music, and we're probably going to be on Amazon. And so there's a lot of people don't know me from Adam. Check out the first episode. It kind of goes into my background. But one of the things I do is I go into nursing homes, assisted livings, and senior centers, and I sing to the elderly and memory care and just the senior community. Oh, my goodness. That is like a passion. It's something I fell into, but I fell in love with it. And I've been doing it, and I'll probably be doing it until I can't do it anymore. No matter how big SIRRODCAST or my career gets, I'm going to always be sneaking into a facility and putting smiles on senior faces because they give me smiles. So I run into so many seniors, and oh my God, the personalities and the people that I meet, I have stories, so many stories, and then the wisdom that they impart in me. So I really want to be able to share some of those moments. Also, being able to engage with them, because like I was at a facility the other day performing for them, and then I realized that there were about 5 or 6 little old ladies had their cell phones up, videotaping my performance. And I realized that these seniors are a little more hip than you think. And some of those seniors could find the SIRRODCAST, and I want to have something in the program for my senior community. Also, I wrote a book. It's Never Too Late. Shameless plug, my podcast. Never Too Late is written for the senior community. Well, actually anybody, young and old, but mainly for them. And I give them stories that it's because remember, the SIRRODCAST is for dreamers, the dreamers. I want them to realize that if they didn't hit the mark when they think they should have, it's really never too late. And then I give them the example of KFC, Colonel Sanders. He didn't start his real journey till 65. And then Nelson Mandela. A lot of people don't know this about Nelson Mandela, but when he was arrested and sentenced to go to prison for 27 years, Nelson Mandela was 46 years old. 46. You know what that means? That means that Nelson Mandela, he turned 50 in prison. Ah, that's hard to turn 50 in prison. Yeah, 50 is a milestone age. Most people go out, buy motorcycles and ruin their marriages and stuff, go and get little young chicks. Milestone age at 50. But imagine being 50 in prison, breaking rocks. Oh, that's sad. And it gets worse because then Nelson Mandela, he turned 60 in prison. 60. That is just real depressing because, between the ages of 40 and 60 is hard years anyway, because between the age of 40 and 60 you're going to say goodbye to a lot of loved ones and kinfolk that, the people that were adults when you were a little bitty. When you were a little bitty something, those people usually started to pass on between 40 and 60. And Nelson Mandela wasn't spared from this. You see, while Nelson Mandela was in prison, his mother died. Yeah, and he couldn't go to the funeral. And his son got killed in a car accident. And he couldn't attend the funeral. And he in prison, breaking rocks, 60 years old. That's sad. And you think it couldn't get any worse than that, but it get a whole lot more worse. Because you know what? Nelson Mandela, he turned 70 while he was in prison. Now that's really sad. Because at that point, I know most people would just throw in the towel. That's a hard one. I can imagine Nelson Mandela looking in the mirror and seeing the wrinkles in his face and arthritis setting in and the gray hairs everywhere. And it's no doubt in his mind that his youth is gone. But not only his youth is gone, but a lot of his loved ones are gone. His mother and his son and all those hopes and dreams. It seemed like they were just gone away, but not Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela had to eventually walk out of that prison. Not then at 70. It was 2 or 3 more years from there. At the age of between 72 and 73, Nelson Mandela walked out of that prison and became president of South Africa. And then, brothers and sisters, he went on to grind for 22 more years. So that's why I try to tell everybody that it is never too late. Never too late to go for your dream. You're never too young, and it's never too late. Don't let anybody tell you it's all a mind thing. So that's why I'm introducing Senior Moments. I want to tell some funny stories. Any wisdom that they impart to me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to impart to you. So be looking forward to that. I'm going to get ready to go into the next segment of the program. And that segment is the week, top post of the week. Listen, I introduced this top post of the week last episode. It's a new segment that we're introducing. See, on all my social media platforms for years, I've been putting posts on, and I've been doing kind of podcasty things all along the way. That's why I fell in love with the idea of doing this format. It's just like a perfect fit. Anyway, on all those platforms, some of the videos I'm a motivational speaker and go into schools and I talk to kids about bullying and staying away from drugs. And I just love motivating people, period. And once some people share some wisdom with me, I'll share it with the world. On all those different hundreds of posts, some posts get more attention than others. And then crazy thing, during the week, certain things may pop out. Stuff that I might have done years ago all of a sudden start getting attention. So that's what this segment is for, the top post of the week. You can see the full post on the SIRRODCAST Instagram page, and I'll put, the link is in the description here. The post that kind of rose to the top this week is one I did about a year ago. and I call it the fame game. Fame game. I had noticed that, and have you ever noticed that a lot of people, I don't want to say selling their souls to be quote unquote famous, and that is a foolish behavior to me, because after being in this thing and seeing how things going, and I got a daughter, a star child, and she's doing her thing, and just being around the music industry and seeing celebrities and quote unquote famous people, there's a lot of things about fame what a lot of people really are not prepared for. Why you think there's so many depressed stars and so many people just seem to be unhappy? In my post, I explained the fame game kind of like being at the best birthday party you ever could imagine. This party's off the chain. You got filet mignon, cake, whatever your thing is, whatever floats your boats, puppies, pink kittens, pandas, whatever you like in your party is there. And it's the best of what you wanted. But there's only one problem. Nobody else can be in the party but you. That's the fame game. I don't care what they share. You try to share the light with people, but nobody can walk that walk and take that journey but you. And some people can't handle that kind of isolation. You think about what Michael Jackson was saying, how lonely it was, and Prince and all. It is a lonely affair. Everybody's not built to handle that. Another thing that's fleeting is it's a temporary thing. It's temporary. And people are chasing that carrot, but it's a temporary. I said in one of my books, if you don't believe me, who was Miss America 1985? Now, in 1985, Miss America, the whole world knew who she was. You would have to Google her now. Also, one last point on the fame game is fame has to be maintained. Kind of like a tire in a car tire with a slow leak. You know, you take your eyes off of it, you go do some things, you enjoying your fame, and you go back in that tire just almost flat. And you got to pump it back up again, throw your name out there, get back in the mix again, pump it back up, and go do your thing. And you look back in the tire almost flat. You stay away too long, your tire will be flat. So that's the fame game. And then I said one time before, what ladies are doing to become famous, it's not worth it. You feeding the machine just to get some attention and likes, but at what cost? At what cost? So to me, it's not worth it. But I guess this is the beauty of the internet. You can kind of build your fame how you want. Like, I refuse to do anything negative or talk about people or put people down to raise my visibility. It's not me. It's not my thing. It's not my brand. That's what they say. So the fame game, think about that thing. I will be putting that post, and you can see it in its entirety on SIRRODCAST, Instagram, SIRRODCAST. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all, how Forrest Gump said, that's all I got to say about that. That's all I got to say about that. This brings us to the next segment, one of my favorites, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the good news. Good news. It's a portion of the program, good news. I got a good news story that I want to share with you. Man, this thing right here, this touches all the right places for me. I love this segment. The good news segment is coming from the Good News Network. I'll be rating their page and finding good news stories that I want to bring to you, because try not to bring sad news on the Good News Network. So the good news story that I'm going to share with you is about a lady called Storybook Maze. Storybook Maze, and she's out of Baltimore, Maryland. And she is a street librarian. street librarian, and you can see the whole story. She's got a YouTube thing, and she's doing big things. She was on CNN Heroes, but all this started for when I think she was reading to her daughter on her front door stoop in Baltimore, and she I don't know, she was just reading to her daughter, and the neighbors' kids and other kids in the street started gathering around, listening to her read the story. And then when she stopped, they were like, hey, please read. And she said, go home and read your own book. And they said that they didn't have a book. That sparked something in her to basically, her mission now is to attack things what she called book deserts. She put book vending machines in the neighborhoods that are lacking books. She does all these, everything around literature, literacy, and fundraising. I think she's getting free book vending machines in the hood. Had over 7,000 books donated, and now she's trying to she's doing a GoFundMe to put a street train, it's a trolley or something she's going to do, and go around neighborhoods just like Johnny Appleseed, handing out books. That is a beautiful story. She definitely gets listen, why that story touches me so much, I have a book that I just finished, my latest book, If I Only Had a Brain, the Gift of Dyslexia. One of those chapters in there is basically talking about this right here. It was a teacher like her in the classroom would read to the classroom, and I would hang on every word, every word. It was like Christmas to me. It's hard to describe, but my imagination would just absorb the story. And when she stopped, it was worse than a cartoon. I would beg her, please. I would look forward to the reading. And I always looked at books like a piece of candy that I couldn't eat. Just imagine the nicest piece of candy or the food you like, but you can't really eat it. That's how some people with dyslexia, at least with me, I'm a slow reader, very slow reader. The average person, it would take them maybe a week to read a book. It would take me a month, literally, to read a book. And that's a small book. If I tried to read an Obama book or somebody got a thick biography, I'll still be reading it for my lifespan. So that's why it touches me in a special way to anybody who's doing anything that turn kids on to reading. And I always looked at, that's why I used a scarecrow on my book cover, because it was a scarecrow that wished he had a brain. Like, I wish I could read. But at the same time, the scarecrow was the smartest one in the whole crew. See, the gift of dyslexia, it allows you to think outside the box. When people are looking one way, I'm all over the place mentally. And that's always been a superpower of mine. I always can see solutions almost instantly where everybody else has been stuck. And so I learned ways around my dyslexia and quote unquote handicap, if you will. Back to the street librarian. God bless. You get another. Yeah. Good work. Good work. This brings us to the next segment of the program. It's time for Numbers Talk. Numbers Talk. It's going to be short, simple, and sweet today. Numbers Talk. Now, last episode, I said that I've been seeing the number 444 everywhere for the last month or two. Just 444 on tags, on things on television, you name it. I did a Google search, and this is what the meaning I saw that stuck with me. And I'm going to let my AI assistant read it out to you.
Clarity and decisiveness. The angel number 444 represents clarity and decisiveness. When this number keeps showing up in your life, it means the angels are trying to tell you that what you've been preparing for is finally coming to fruition.
Wow. Wow. What my AI assistant was saying is basically clarity. decisiveness. It's going to happen. That was mind blowing to me because, I said in an earlier episode, I've been working at my dreams and trying to make this thing happen for 38 years now. So I figure God is going to make it an even 40, like, Moses. But I won't complain because Moses didn't start his 40-year journey until he was age 40. I was 14, so I won't complain. He didn't get he had to wait 40 years to start his journey. So I won't complain. So 444 represents clarity and decisiveness, clarity, pinpoint. And that's what's happening. Actually, literally, that's what's happening. I'm getting clear who I'm speaking to, the things that used to trip me up, chasing fame or chasing money, all those things. Older I get, they're not tripping me up. So I can agree with that. And I can see why those numbers are appearing in my life because I think that's where I'm at. What numbers are showing up in your life? Let me know. Are you seeing 444, 333? I got some, I'm going to post some pictures. Still seeing threes. Threes never stop. Threes just keep coming. That's why I wear my 333 chain. But the threes keep coming. As I see a couple pictures that I saw. I usually don't look like a weirdo just taking pictures of people car tags or things I may see. But send me your number story or what you're seeing. Or comment, post. SIRRODCAST@gmail.com. SIRRODCAST@gmail.com. Let me know your number story. Or at least let me know what you think about my number story. You think I'm fooey. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the next segment of the program, and that is...
Hear ye, the joke of the day. Hear ye, the joke of the day. It is time for the joke of the day. Hear ye.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the day. That time of the week. Some of you only check out this podcast. The only reason you're here is for this reason right here. It is time for the joke of the day. I need to really start charging for these jokes. That is just free. That comes with the price of admission. I should start charging this. This is good stuff. All right. As always, I got to put my spectacles on because I will be doing some dyslexic reading. And that's a little more advanced than regular reading. The joke of the day, coming from the book of Joketopia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're driving, you might want to pull over, get in a secure location, any kind of peril. If you're up in a high rise on the window washing, you might want to check your seatbelt, make sure your belt is striped. And don't try to walk and listen to this joke because once it hits you, it's just a disclaimer. All right. Joke of the day. Where can you find out more about ducks? Where can you find out more about ducks? Where can you find out more about ducks? In a ductionary. Ductionary. Yeah. Ductionary. See, they took duck and dictionary. They kind of mixed it. Ladies. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you didn't pay for that, but you got it anyway. Ductionary. That is the joke of the day. Ladies and gentlemen, This brings us to the final segment of the program. Just my thoughts. I like to say my final thoughts. Yeah, these are my final thoughts of the... Oh. Don't cry. I'll be back next week. It's okay. Don't cry. I promise. I'll be back next week. Ladies and gentlemen, my final thoughts. My final thoughts are going to be basically giving you some information. I've set up a Patreon for the podcast, but this is just not just a Patreon for this program. I have a company, and what my main mission is, and what I've been doing for almost 20 years now, is Sounds of Knowledge. And what Sounds of Knowledge does is we go into high school, middle schools, elementary schools, and nursing home, assisted living, senior centers. And in the schools, we deliver positive messages to the kids, telling them to stay away from drugs, alcohol, and addressing bullying, and actually saving lives in that arena. And in the nursing home, assisted living, we're nurturing artists, and we're reaching, and man, the power of music is just a wonderful thing. And my whole thing, even with this podcast and everything I'm doing, is music. You see, when COVID hit, people going into the schools kind of stopped. I mean, there's limited, not like it was, because the schools are so far behind. What I wanted to do, because I'm still reading in the paper that kids are committing suicide, and they're still bullying. That, you see, the COVID didn't stop the bullies. See, the bullies are still in school, and the kids are still dealing with the same things that they were dealing with when I was doing it before, when I was going in speaking to the kids before COVID. So I can't get into every school, but I had this thought. I knew that I could get my anti-bullying book, 150 anti-bullying solutions. See, when I used to go into the schools, I realized that some schools were doing things, this school was doing something to address bullying that the other schools weren't doing, and this one was doing this and doing that. And it was a case of the right hand not knowing what the left hand is doing. And so I gathered up all the best solutions I could think of or I came across and put it in this book. And then what I want to do is put this book in every school, or as many schools as possible. And that's only going to happen with your support and your help. And that's what Patreon is going to do. And also, why I say this podcast is for the dreamer. I'm a dreamer myself. I always wanted to be able to do things on a much bigger scale, even with the schools. I had this idea about something called Knowledge Fest. It's like a big festival where you bring all the kids together and they could be exposed to different things. Like, see, I was exposed to graphics and artists, and that's why I became a graphic artist when I was in high school. And so it's a lot of kids, all they see is sports music, but they need to know about the engineers and know about the car designers and or pilots, or I've met people who manufacture bed springs, and so all these different walks of life. I would like to expose the kids, and all that stuff is from my mind and the dreamer in me. For the seniors, I would like to take them out because they come to life with these music programs. It's the program that I do for them is not ordinary. So I do the Sam Cookes, the Ray Charles, and the music that they relate to and love. But it's in a little nursing home dining room. I would like to take them to a theater and have a big orchestra behind me and do it big for them. Don't they deserve it? And just blow their mind. And if I had it my way and enough supporters, it would be absolutely free. So that's what I want to do with my Patreon. Allow me to grow and to get team members and help grow this thing. But I know it's going to take help. And so that's what I love about the Patreon models, because they have $1 support, $5 support, $10, all the way up to whatever you want, wherever God leads you. But am I just a dreamer? I really believe, and no, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So I want to thank you in advance for your support. Check out, we're setting it up. We should have everything in place. SIRRODCAST on Patreon, and there will be a link in the descriptions and all my in all the future podcast episodes. There will be a link, and then I thank you in advance for your support. All right, I'm getting ready to wrap this up. Listen, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your attention. But most of all, I really want to thank you for listening. You didn't have to, but you did. And I appreciate it. Giving me just a little bit of your time. Now, as I always say, now go out and find something else better to do. But then after you do it, hit me up and let me know what you did. All right, that's my time. I'll see you next time. Be blessed.